if you even just heard the conversation we're already having with these guys. Garrett Ventry's here, president of GRV Strategies. And we found a Democrat to respond. David Carlucci is here, former New York State Democratic Senator. I say that I'm not just in jest, but seriously, I haven't seen a whole lot of Democrats reacting to the news. So what does a Democrat say about this, the appointment of a special counsel in the Hunter Biden probe? And by the way, the DOJ has declined to comment whether or not the president is under investigation in all of this as well.
Well, I think it's fresh off the press, obviously, but this shows the independence. The DOJ wants to have an independent case here, and that's why it was a surprise to the White House, as we've learned, that President Biden didn't even know about this happening, and Garland went ahead with the special counsel for Weiss to show that independence. And I think that's what we see here. I mean,
why now?
Well, why ever, right? I think this is something that originally Republicans did want. They wanted Weiss to be the special counsel. Now it's actually happening. So I think it shows independence. I think it shows that the movement away from the White House, and that this will be not a political witch hunt, but an actual trial.
Garrett?
Yeah, so I think Weiss has really shredded his credibility during this entire process here. And I think there's one thing to point out here is Democrats have been using it talking about, I'm assuming you will see this come out, that he was a Trump appointee. But I think as a former Senate Judiciary aide who did confirmations, people need to understand the district court
That's
judges.
You, by the way.
That is me. That's district court judges and U.S. attorneys are handpicked by home state senators. So he's essentially handpicked by 2 Democratic senators from Delaware.
But it didn't have to happen without Trump's blessing, obviously.
That's not how the process works. 2 Dems, but I'll get to what I'm trying to say. They are picked by home state senators. But back to this, the reason that he shredded his credibility is, one, he was part of the sweetheart deal that essentially tried to give a backdoor pardon to Hunter Biden that fell apart. Not only on trying to not give him jail time for illegal possession of a firearm, committing tax fraud on hundreds of thousands of dollars, but future charges to do with probably foreign business dealings. The second part is you have IRS whistleblowers. You were talking to Jason Foster, a former colleague of mine in Senate Judiciary as well. They've alleged that essentially this has been stifled by the Biden administration. And the last thing I'll say about the timing, one, you had 2.5 years to do this. Hunter Biden's the luckiest man. Some of these charges that he's been alleged with are past the statute of limitations, so it's very sketchy there. And the second part is yesterday we learned from House Oversight, Biden family members and associates got $20 million from Russia, Ukraine, and that was why Biden was vice president handling that portfolio for the Obama administration. And then we've also learned from Comer that Biden was the brand that was being sold to these foreign business entities. So it continues to get closer to Joe Biden. His knowledge, certainly he lied about his knowledge of these business dealings. His involvement gets closer and closer. And it's just interesting that every time bad news drops for the Biden White House, or Joe Biden particularly, something else comes out like this.
David, I'll let you respond to that after I play out Karl Rove, as I promised him I would. He said, nobody's talking about this. Listen.
We're missing one important question, incidentally, that nobody has asked. And it seems to me this is a really fundamental question. When Joe Biden was vice president of the United States, did anybody in the Obama White House, starting with the president and his top aides, ever say this is a problem and go and say to Joe Biden, your son is creating a problem for U.S. government policy by being on the board of the corrupt company, along with, remember, Devon Archer was the longtime friend and associate and political bagman for who? The Secretary of State, John Kerry. Did anybody inside the White House ever think this was a problem and talk to Hunter Biden or talk to John Kerry about Devon Archer? Be an interesting question to ask, don't you think?
How about that, David?
Well, I was not a fly on the wall, so I don't know what happened inside those conversations. But look, the bottom line is there's been all of this.
We're answering Carl's question.
What's the question?
Okay, if you don't have anything on it, do you, Garrett?
I mean, there is an article that came out that Joe Biden and the Obama administration were warned about Hunter Biden's business dealings with this. I mean, that was a big problem for them because, again, when you have Joe Biden overseeing Ukraine, you have your son sitting on a board for Burisma, a company where he's getting $1 million a year, and then Joe Biden's advocating to fire a prosecutor that is essentially going after Burisma. And then more and more information comes out that Joe Biden met with some of these people. That's a problem.
There's a constant effort to try to connect Joe Biden to this corrupt, alleged deal that was happening.
Are you saying there's no there?
I'm saying there's not. Look, there's been years of investigation. There is no definitive proof that pins the president with doing anything nefarious. All of this has been on the failings of Hunter Biden, and we all see he's had some demons to struggle with. But the bottom line is, we say if this was anyone else, we wouldn't wouldn't be talking about it, obviously, and he would not be in this type of issue. He wouldn't be facing these type of penalties if it was an average Joe.
There's a few things. Joe Biden went to dinner with these associates. He was put on speakerphone. A first-hand witness said Devin Archer was in business with him. He's pictured golfing with him. Also, Joe Biden, let's not forget, he lied. He said, I have no knowledge of Hunter Biden's business dealings. Then it went to, he's not in business with Hunter Biden. So the story's changed there. He also said that no one in my family got money from China during the 2020 GOP debate. You probably remember this, too. Part of that plea deal that came out, Hunter Biden actually testified that he got $600,000 from China. So Joe has lied here, and it continues to get closer to Joe Biden. That's the issue here. It does. When you look at all the facts that are coming out here, the bank records, you're looking at his role as vice president with his portfolio, and you're seeing more and more it continues to get closer.
So be careful. It'll be a big question whether or not the special counsel then tries to stifle these investigations that are ongoing.
I think that's what Comer's, just last thing here, I think that's what Comer's absolutely worried about here. House Republicans have had to fight tooth and nail to get a majority to actually investigate this and uncover it, and it's 2.5 years too late here from the Biden administration.
I don't think the Republicans will not be happy unless there's some sort of charge on President Biden. And they're going to be desperate and look and search and try to find something. And they should try to search and see that justice is prevailed anywhere. But I think it's getting on the borderline of ridiculous that, hey, this is what we want. We want a special counsel. Oh, no, we don't. The bottom line is what is it that we want? We want Republicans want a crime against Joe Biden.
Okay. Well,
they don't have
what
it.
we do want
upset.
is to hear a White House reaction. We haven't gotten any just yet, but we keep monitoring their accounts. John Kirby was just speaking, and he didn't even take a single question on this. There was nobody even asked him about it. Obviously, National Security Council wouldn't always be a relevant thing, but somebody speaking on behalf of the White House, he was not asked about it.